hello, hello, hello. How is everyone doing today? I hope everyone is doing well. Let us know where you're from, what country, city, state. I see some people have already showed up. This is awesome. Glad to have you guys. Not sure what some of the comments mean out there. I don't know if somebody's trying to sell something. So if you are, please leave or we'll block you. But anyway, I just wanted to clear that up. Rainy Hudson Valley, New York. I bet, Donna, for sure. There's Olive Cousin, sunny Oregon. Sunny, that's nice. We don't see much of that over here on the east side of the world. So everybody give that. There you go. Thank you very much for pointing that out. 4 likes right now. Give those likes. There we go. All right. And then we got, of course, Mike from Niagara Falls in Canada. How nice, huh? All right, let's see who else is out there. Bill H. There you go. I like it. Everybody just adding to it. Richard, how are you, sir? And then Gil from Seneca. Nice to see you, sir. We have Ivana Stewart, a new one that I haven't seen in a while. So, 100 degrees. Oh, my Lord. That's not fun. And then we have Sarasota, Florida. There we go. We got a little bit of everybody. That's nice. And then from down the road, there you go. That must be Kyle. Hey, Kyle, good to see you, buddy. And then Huntington Beach, California. Wow, lots of folks. Love seeing you guys out there. So anyway, without further ado, let's get right to it. I'm going to bring on our guest today. Heather can't make it today, so give her a shout out if you know her. That'd be great. And we're going to get right to it because we got a pack-filled show, which is pretty awesome. So let me go ahead and bring on my guest today. This is Dr. Ron Brown. Dr. Ron Brown. How are you, sir?
Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello.
There you go.
There you go.
And you have the title of doctor, but you're no longer an actual doctor. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I'm
retired. I'm retired. No, but I did practice. I was a family physician for 35 years, looked after people, delivered babies, worked in emergency departments, back when doctors were doctors, right? They actually did some work. So back in the old days. So we did. So yeah, so that is true. But now I do technology, as you know, and I'm not really, nobody really calls me a doctor anymore. But today I'm going to be talking about the medical aspects of the new Galaxy 4 watch. And we're going to tell stuff that people don't normally do. I was telling you earlier in the show, there's about 10 reviews a day coming out on this watch. And it's crazy. This is a big watch, very, very popular. Pre-orders are crazy.
You got one right behind you there, too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I got one on my wrist here. Yeah. So so anyway, I got it, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. So I'm going to talk about what I thought I'd do today is talk about from a doctor's point of view, looking at from the medical side of this watch rather than
Thank you, Gil. That was very nice. A $10 donation. Thank you very much. I appreciate that with a super sticker. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate that. Sorry, I gotta recognize those.
I know. Yeah. I know. Yeah. So we're gonna do it. So we're gonna look at it from a physician's viewpoint, which is a little bit different and something that you will not see. You will not see in the reviews because most people reviewing this aren't doctors, right? Yeah. They say, well, it does an ECG. What's an ECG, right? Like we're going to talk about it from the medical side.
That's right. That's exactly right. He says, but I don't have a watch. Something smarter than I on my wrist. Yeah. Well, kind of reminds you of the old Dick Tracy. Remember those? Oh, look at there. Thank you so much. Is that Richard? Richard, because I can, you deserve it. Well, that is very kind of you. Very, very nice. 2901. I love it. I don't know where we got that, but that's
so Michael, I have to tell you an interesting story.
All right, here we go. Fire away.
Well, this is a preamble, but I gave this talk a lot, right? Like, I mean, not with the Galaxy 4, but so oftentimes when I'm giving this talk to a large group of people, I say, at the end of the talk, many of the people have already texted Best Buy and bought the watch online. In other words, they look at this, they say, well, I don't have a watch now, but after they were watching the Saving Your Life with Wearable Technology, they're sitting there and they're texting Best Buy and they've already bought a watch, right? So, the stuff can be quite powerful that we're going to talk about.
Awesome. Thank you, Cousin Russ. Thank you. Yeah, no, that's super, and I love that. I think that's awesome. Whenever we get that kind of reaction, and that's what happens after I love that kind of thing, because you know what, you will find out. I think you'll find out, especially after listening to you today. I think a lot of people will realize that, hey, maybe you didn't wear a watch, but maybe you might want to.
Exactly. That's
know what I'm saying. Seriously, I think they might change their mind a little bit. So
Sure.
let's get right into it.
All right. Shall we start?
First, yeah. You want to talk about this first, fall detection?
No, not yet. I want to just, well, first of all, let me give you a background. And I want to talk about watches. Like, there are 3 watches that we generally, when we group watches together, we talk about, of course, the Apple Watch, which is the most successful, 100 million sold a year, and works very well with the iPhone. And of course, in the United States, 48.5% of all cell phones sold are Apple, right? So guess what? You have to consider it, and the Apple Watch is by far leaps ahead. And so if you have an iPhone and you want to look at getting something like we're going to talk about today, an iPhone is what you want to, or an Apple Watch is what you want to get. Now, of course, I own the Fitbit Sense, and I own the Galaxy 4, the new one. So I personally bought these. I don't represent the companies. I'm not doing this. I didn't get these free. I'm not a promotion. No. I bought these with my own hard-earned retired money.
Let me ask you this though, because you have an iPad, correct?
I do.
Would that Apple Watch work with your iPad? Would that work in conjunction?
I don't think so. You need the phone. You need the iPhone. So
okay.
So yeah, and so that's the So anyway, so that's so these are the three watches. And why do we always talk about these 3? Because there are hundreds of watches out there. There are a lot of companies that make watches. Fossil makes them. We have Garmin. We have a lot of. So why do we pick these 3 watches? And when we group them all sort of together, I always talk about just these 3 watches. And that's because there's some features that are FDA approved. These watches are actually level 2 medical devices that you can use in the hospital. So these are actually like an anesthetic machine, like an ECG machine. These are approved by the FDA, and we'll talk a little bit about that today. So that's why we group these 3 watches together. You
include the Fitbit in that, right?
Yes. There's that.
Fitbit is part of that, right?
Yeah, that's right. The Fitbit Sense, the Apple Watch. We'll talk about the different series, and then of course the new Galaxy Watch 4. So that's the reason that I group them together. All right, first one is going to be fall detection.
Okay, let's look at that. Fall detection.
All right, fall detection. Yay! Fall detection. Fall detection. Great. So the Galaxy 4 watch does have fall detection. Now, what is fall detection? Well, you need a piece of equipment in the watch called an accelerometer. Okay, and the Apple Watch has this, and has had it for a long time. And the Fitbit Sense does not have fall detection. It does not have accelerometer in it, so it doesn't do falls, but the Galaxy 4 watch does. So what is fall detection? Well, this accelerometer knows when you fall. It's smart, right? They figured it all out. So if you fall down, then it's going to say to you, gee, you've fallen. You have, let's say, 30 seconds to say, yes, I'm okay. Or it's going to phone whoever you've listed as your contact person, and or 911. Okay, so it's going to call. So basically, it's going to set it up so that if you even if you're unconscious when you fall down and you maybe hit your head and you can't answer, then boom, the watch is going to send the notification to your caregiver or to 911. Right. So great thing, right? Boom. Yeah, that's cool. So. Right. Yeah, that's really good. So yay! And now the Galaxy, Samsung has had sort of a shaky past on this. It's worked in other models and hasn't worked, and they've had sort of a shady past on this. But this does work. It's good. It works, and it is it works on all phones. It works on all platforms, and that's great. Okay, now, so here's the problem.
Okay,
and so all right, so let's see, how does this this work? All right, how does it actually work? All right, so let's take the how it works is so you have your watch on, and your watch is paired to your phone by Bluetooth, right? Now, so if you fall down, then the watch is going to know that you fell, and the
Right.
actual link to phone the emergency or to phone whoever you want is based on the connection by Bluetooth to your phone, right? All right. Now, okay, so that's step number one. Step number two is you got to have the watch charged, right? It's got to be working. Step three, the watch actually has to be on you. So if you go to bed and you put the watch beside the bed and you don't wear it and you get up for a pee and you fall, what good is it, right? So then the other problem is if you left your cell phone in the car, out in the garage, and Bluetooth can't reach that, it's not gonna work for you. So to make this work, you have to have a charged watch on you that's charged up, and you have to have a cell phone that's charged up. Now, the Galaxy 4 watch will need to be, it's not, the battery isn't as good as the Fitbit Sense, in my opinion, and you will need to charge it once a day. So here's the problem with this, and here's where we need to think about this. When I step back and from my medical perspective, I have to be skeptical and say, does this really work? Now, from an anecdotal point of view, Apple has had this for a long time, and there's constantly anecdotal stories in the news about the Apple Watch saved my life with this, right? So they have had it for a long time. So there's tons of anecdotal information, but there isn't a lot of data that says it actually has saved a huge amount of lives in clinical studies, right? So how good is this? Well, I think the caution I have is if you have an aging person, maybe a bit of a shaky memory, how are they going to remember to keep the watch on? They're going to have to take it off. They're going to have to make it charge. They're going to have to make sure their phone's on. They're going to have to make sure there's a lot of complexity here. It's not just going to work over, very simply. Now, on the flip side of this, there's many other ways you can do this. ADT has a service, and a lot of security companies have service. Little dongle you wear around your neck, you push the button, help comes, right? So is this technology, I think you have to look at this technology and say, maybe it'll work for you, maybe it won't. But I'm not saying it's the best thing in the world for you. And you have to really look at this. Now, the other thing that you should be aware of as well, that there is the watches come as an LTE version. So you can actually have that. They have eSIM cards in them where it's an electronic SIM card in there you can put. So you can have this as so that the watch actually doesn't connect by Bluetooth, right? Because it actually has its own cellular phone number. Now, there was a study that there was a report came out that in some other countries that said that the way this is set up is that you actually, depending on the cell phone provider, depends on T-Mobile, Verizon, and how they set these up, is you may or may not require a phone to be with the watch. So we may see in the future, depending how this gets released in the United States, it depends how it gets released and how those companies set it up, is whether you need an actual phone to go with the watch, or can you just buy the watch? All right. And that will depend, that would be a little bit better if you just had it, if you had the LTE version, then you would only have to remember to charge the watch, right? You wouldn't have to have the phone to have it together. So I think you have to think a bit about that. So is this valuable? It could be. Is it the you have to look at your own individual situation on this one. And I think you have to really tailor this to the person that you want to use it with, for obvious reasons that we talked about.
Agreed.
Okay. So that's the first thing. All right. So that's number one. Let's go to the ECG app. ECG. Now this is great. Of course,
those who don't know what ECG is, tell them what that is.
I will. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Because all the reviewers say this is great. It does an ECG and moves on to the next, because nobody really knows what an ECG is, right? What the heck is an ECG? I'm going to just share my screen. Let's have a look here. Can you share my screen?
I will.
And I'm going to show you. This is a slide taken from my one of my one of my videos I've made called Saving Your Life with Wearable Technology. So what is an ECG? Well, since 1860, and that's a picture in the top right-hand corner there, this is a picture in 1860 of some fellow who the doctor sent him to, and that's an ECG machine. That's the first ECG machine that was ever developed, and it's in 1860. And so very early on, we knew that the electrical potential in the heart, the amount of electricity and how it's generated, we could measure this, and it gave us a lot of information. All right. And it actually can tell us a lot. Like, we can tell you where your heart is being, the past history of your heart. We can tell the present, whether you're having a heart attack, We can tell the future, you know, are you going to live? Are you going to die? Whatever. So we can tell with an ECG. That's when they put those little stickies all over your chest, and that squiggly little thing line. You see all these squiggly lines there. And we can tell past, present, and future on your heart. So this is an incredible diagnostic tool. Okay. Now the question is, okay, is the ECG app on a watch going to monitor your heart? Is it going to send you to the hospital when you're having a heart attack? Is it going to save your life? Is it going to do all these great things for you? Is it going to do all that? All right. The answer to that question is no, it's not going to do any of those things at all. Okay. There's one thing that this app does, and let me tell you about the reason for that. And the reason is this. As you get over 60, and I know no one here is over 60, but there's a few, like except me, right? So if you're over the age of 60, there's a condition called atrial fibrillation. Now, atrial fibrillation goes up, and I've drawn a little diagram here, and it goes up exponentially as you get older, okay? And if you get atrial fibrillation, which is a heart condition, the side effect of this is stroke. So we don't want you to have a stroke, and it's hard to diagnose. So what the app does is this atrial fibrillation, the ECG app does, is it does an ECG, but it only tells you one thing. It tells you, do you or do you not have atrial fibrillation? So if you are over 60, then the ECG part of this might be very valuable, because if you feel a bit weird, you're a bit dizzy, your heart starts to palpitate, you then can turn the app on. It doesn't continually monitor your heart. You turn the app on, and then each watch does a little bit differently. You either touch the round with your right hand 2 fingers. You either touch the side of the watch, and that completes the connection. And it says you have, or you have. It does an ECG, and it tells you, it takes about 20 seconds, and then it says you do or do not have atrial fibrillation. Okay. Right. And that's the only thing it does. It just tells you, do you or do you not, and that's it. Clear. That's it. That's the bottom line. It doesn't do the past. It's not saving your life. Doesn't do that. It just tells you if you have atrial fibrillation. Now, here's the deal. You can stop sharing my screen now. That's good. Mm-hmm. The deal is this: is this valid? Does it work? Is it good? Is this hocus pocus, or does it really work? Yes, it does work. It is a single lead ECG. It is approved by the FDA. This is a medical device you can use in a hospital. It is an approved FDA level 2 medical device, and it has been approved, and there's been lots of studies to validate it. So yes, it does. In this specific purpose, if you are over the age of 60, and and I think this is one of the big features of this is you really want to pick up atrial fibrillation at early age or early stage so that you don't have a stroke. Now, the Apple Watch is
real quick on that. Let me just ask one thing on that, because I'm just curious for myself.
Right.
So this just identifies, I mean, because if you're starting to feel those, like you said, starting to feel lightheaded or whatever, at least you could check it, right? I mean, at least it's a way to check it. That's the key.
That's the key.
Take it further. Now you go over to a real doctor, whatever, and all that. All it did was get you started, and says, yes, this is the potential of having whatever. Yes, exactly.
Okay. And it also records the ECG and puts it as a PDF on your phone. So it records it so that it's on your phone, and it's a PDF, and you can email it to your doctor or whatever you want, because it's in a PDF format, right? Now, here's the deal with this. The Apple Watch has done this for a number of years, 3 or 4 years, and it's done well there. But remember, this is FDA approved, so it has to be approved in all the countries that the watch is in. And Apple, of course, has done such a great job. They sell it in 130 different countries. It's been approved in 130 different countries. It works great.
Doing it for a long time. We got a lot of history. Yes,
exactly. That's right. Fitbit Sense was released by Google last year. When it was released in the United States, the feature did not work because it hadn't been approved. It took 4 months for it to be approved in the United States and 8 months in Canada. And in Australia, and the big place where a lot of these watches are sold is India, it's still not approved. Okay, so it's still not approved. So this feature has to be approved all across the board in each country. Now, where are we with the Galaxy 4 watch? It's not approved. So you're going to go out and buy the watch this week. Everybody's buying the watch. They're all looking, where's my ECG app? It hasn't been approved. You're not even going to find it. It's not on the watch, all right? The second thing is, and here's the kicker, this is really going to hurt some people's feelings, is that you have to have a Samsung phone for this feature to work. Now,
it's not an Android thing, it's a Samsung.
It's a Samsung. You have to have a Samsung phone or it won't work. That's crazy. Now, the Fitbit Sense will work across the platform. The Fitbit Sense will even work on an Apple phone. It'll work on an iPhone, but not the Galaxy 4 watch. And we can talk about that later if we have lots of time later on. I'll tell you the reasons why I think that's probably the case. But this is a big Achilles tendon with this watch. So again, if you are like me, I'm waiting for my Pixel 6. I think, Michael, you're waiting for one too. And you're looking at it. This is an ECG. You really want this feature? Nah, it's not gonna work for you. Okay.
Well, one thing too, Ron. I know I'm a big Pixel guy and a Google guy or whatever, but I know Fitbit was bought by them, and maybe Fitbit eventually will have the FDA approval eventually. I mean, I know it's not now.
Well, the Fitbit Sense does have it, right?
Oh,
it
does.
The Fitbit Sense, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I misunderstood.
It's the Fitbit Sense is
a feature, but does it have the approval, the FDA approval?
Yes. The Sense got approved about four months after launch, and then so in Canada it was about 8 months.
I missed that. Sorry about that.
Yeah. So it is. So the Fitbit Sense, yes, it does work, and it works fine. Okay. So that's the issue. Now the third one that comes on is blood pressure. It'll measure your blood pressure. This is so cool. So yay for blood pressure. We all know blood pressure is important. Lots of people have blood pressure problems. So the watch will measure your blood pressure. Hey. And that's awesome. But I'm saying, as a doctor, so what?
So I'm going to ask you. Okay. Yeah.
So what? So what? I mean, you know what? I don't see that. So what? Now, Now, why I think it's so cool is I'm going to do a bunch of videos on how it does it. All right. And that's a whole topic in itself, because I think that's the coolest technology, is how this actually works. And I can go into
my doctor tells me to regulate my blood. He says at times, you need to keep an eye on your blood pressure. Maybe we need to increase your medicine. So, I mean, to know that, I think would be a good thing. Now, being a doctor and you have this feature, is it accurate though? I mean, because you probably have a
yes. Okay. So this comes back to, is it accurate? It is. Guess what? It's FDA approved. You have to get it FDA approved again. So now we have not just the ECG app, but you got to get it FDA approved. Now, South Korea, where of course Samsung makes the watch, has approved it on the Galaxy 3 and Galaxy 4. So it is approved by the equivalent of the FDA. And Australia last Friday, just approved the Galaxy Watch 4 for the ECG and blood pressure. Okay, that's Australia. So we'll see. I expect, because Samsung is really sort of on the edge with this, or they're going to keep pushing, I expect to see it approved in the United States quickly. However, you don't know that. And if you're buying this watch for those two features, they will not work. And guess what? It won't work unless you have a Samsung phone.
Oh, no. Really?
Yes. Yeah. So both the ECG app And the blood pressure app will only work if you have a Samsung phone.
So those don't work. The ECG and the blood pressure don't work on a Fitbit. They don't have that feature. Is that correct?
Well, the ECG on the Fitbit Sense works, but
not the blood pressure.
But not the blood pressure. The only one that works is the blood pressure. Now, the blood pressure will be coming out on the iPhone, but they just announced 2 days ago that iPhone 7 will not have the blood pressure medicine or measurement on it. So the only one that will do it will be the Galaxy Watch 4. Now, as a physician, what do I think the benefits of that are? I think the benefits of it are that it promotes interest in your blood pressure. I think if Michael goes to the doctor and he says to his doctor, Michael is all excited about his blood pressure. He says, gee, doc, I got this new watch. I'm checking my blood pressure all the time. And here's what it is. And you're all excited about it. I think that's great. I think if we promote lots of interest rather than sort of, because interest in your blood pressure, then I think that's great. And so I think that sparks interest. People will take it more often because, of course, most people take it by those cuffs that you put around your arm. For $50, right, you put a cuff around your arm. It's excellent. It's only $50 for a cuff, and it works great. So, is the watch really a lifesaver? I don't think so. Or sorry, is the blood pressure thing a real lifesaver? I don't think so. It's amusing and interesting, and I can write some videos about it. Right. So that's all right. Let's go on to the fourth one.
I like the way you put this, though, because I just want to emphasize this. At least it's got people thinking and talking about it, and it's a start. You know what I'm saying? 5 years, 5 years from now, all of this stuff may have that. Every bit of it might have all of this, all approved, and all working on any device. But it's just a start, and I love the way you bring that up.
And maybe you get the watch, you take your blood pressure with it for a while, and you think, gee, this seems awful high. Maybe I better go in and get it checked, right? That's good. That's great. Absolutely. I think it's great. Sure. I think that's a good thing. But if you have high blood pressure, you're taking your blood pressure at home, do I think you should race out and buy this watch because it takes your blood pressure? I don't think so. It's not. I don't think that's anything great. So I don't think so. All right. So the third thing, the fourth thing is measuring your measuring your oxygen level. Okay. Now this is called pulse oximetry. So this is now the first thing I'm going to tell everyone about the measuring your oxygen is it's not FDA approved. This is not the previous two ones. It was this is the ability to measure your oxygen level has been through the skin has been around for 40 years. You can buy a deal you put on the end of your finger for $30 on Amazon that works great. Okay, you can buy a $10 watch that does this. This is no regulation. Any Tom, Dick, and Harry can put it on their watch, and or any device they want, and they can measure your oxygen level. So it's the Wild West here. Okay, now right. So now we have to say, okay, what's the value of this? Now I'm going to give you my opinion. Okay. Now let's say we all know Michael umpires, right? And let's say it's a hot, sunny afternoon and Michael is umpiring and it's 2 p.m. and the teams are changing and you're standing around base and you think, I got my new watch. Let me just check the oxygen level I have. Okay. And you hit the button and it tells you your oxygen level is 50. So what's with 50? What does 50 mean? Nobody knows what 50 means, right? So what do? Now, I can tell you, Michael, is if it was really 50, you would be in my intensive care unit. I'd be putting a tube down your throat. I'd be putting you on a ventilator, and we'd be resuscitating you. Okay. So what does 50 mean when Michael's standing on the ball field and it says 50? It means you're hot. It means you're sweaty. It means the watch is probably flopping around on your wrist, and it doesn't mean anything. So what does measuring your oxygen level, what value is it? And that's a big question that they have. Now, I'm going to tell you what I think as a doctor. I think as a doctor that we can, that there are some things that might benefit here. But I want to just share my screen, and I want to show you just a couple of things and the worrisome things that I'm truly worried about. Let me just have a look here. Yes. All right. So the one that I'm really worried about is snake oil. And as you know, people have been selling snake oil since the late 1800s, right? They try to sell you something and they say it's going to work, right? And we have seen this, and oxygen sales of liquid oxygen or tablets or whatever have been around forever, right? And so
Yep.
my worry, and this is all bogus, right? The whole snake oil is bogus.
Mhm.
And you'll see this, you're seeing this propagate now on Amazon. And these are liquid oxygen tablets, all right, or liquid. And there's no
Mhm.
such a thing, right? This is all just total BS, and it just doesn't work. So my worry about this technology is we're giving it to people without any medical knowledge, and they're going to go and they're going to be spending hard-earned money. Maybe Michael would then pull out his bottle of oxygen that he bought, on Amazon, and he's going to take a couple of drops of oxygen on the ball field to make him feel better. And there's no evidence, there's no such a thing, right? So that's my worry. You can stop sharing now. That's fine. That's my worry. That's my worry with this, is that we're giving people some stuff here, false stuff, right?
Yeah, basically it's false.
Right. So where might this be a good idea? So let me give you a couple examples of that. The first example would be teeing up with your healthcare provider. If you see your healthcare provider and you have a plan formed, maybe you have asthma, respiratory COPD, some lung problems, you got fires around you, you start to cough a bit, maybe you need puffers, maybe you can add the oxygen level into your sort of medical plan that you have, and maybe that can be of help, right? So that it could be used as part of a coordinated effort with your healthcare provider, and that would be great. The second thing that it could be used for, and this is interesting, is let's say, Michael, you had a contact with a COVID and you're isolating. Suppose you're in contact with COVID and you're isolating for 2 weeks. Let's say these watches all measure your oxygen level overnight. So wearing it on all three watches that we talk will measure it over the overnight. So let's say overnight you're measuring it and you look at your oxygen level and it says it dipped that night, and you felt a bit off, but you really don't feel, you're at home, you don't know if you've got COVID or not, and last night the oxygen level went down and you felt a bit off. No fever, but you just felt a bit off. Okay. We know that people who get COVID, there's a subset that desaturate early in the disease. In other words, the first symptom of this is when their oxygen level goes down. Those people get sick fast and require serious medical intervention. So this could be a way of measuring and looking at things and detecting it early to get treatment. Because instead of sitting around the house that morning when you saw this happen, you should be hightailing it to the hospital and telling the doctors this, because this could be, waiting for another 12 hours could make the difference of life and death, right? So this might be something that we could use it for. So there's features like that. Now, I will tell you, there were 2 studies, small studies, but 2 medical studies that looked at actually taking the Fitbit Sense and taking the different aspects of what the Fitbit Sense measures and seeing if they could diagnose whether you had COVID or not. And they got to 80%. So they were 80% accurate, which wasn't clinically, you couldn't really do anything with it, but it was close. It was close, just with the Fitbit Sense. They looked at all the parameters and they were pretty close. So it's not, it's coming. So there's lots of things that we might be using this for in the future. And so do I think this is a life-shattering thing? Do I think it's helpful? Well, maybe, depending on the circumstances that we discussed. Okay, that's item 4.
Love it.
All right, now the last one. The last one, this is cool. So the last one is measuring, of course, your oxygen overnight and snoring. This watch will actually record your snoring overnight. All right. So if Sherry's complaining about Michael, she turns the watch on, and the watch will actually record Michael's snoring. Now, the idea of this, of course, is to, and plus with the oxygen level overnight, of course, we're looking for diagnosing sleep apnea, right? So then of course you get this information, and you then need to sort it out. So you go to see a doctor, and you're going to see, do you have sleep apnea or not, right? So that's the idea behind this. So this is some interesting technology. It's sort of there to look and decide. Now, let me tell you about sleep apnea. First of all, sleep apnea is common, right?
Mhm.
It's common. I have sleep apnea. I was diagnosed about 4 years ago, and I have a CPAP machine, right? And it was a lifesaver machine.
As do I.
Oh yeah, exactly. It was a life-saving machine. I mean, you and I, we can't sleep without it. We'd never be without it. I gotta have that machine, right? You understand that. So the thing is that's interesting about it. When we do this, and you probably did the same thing, you go to see your doctor. He says, yeah, and then you go to a sleep clinic or a sleep lab or it's respiratory clinic, and they send you home with a bunch of professional medical equipment that you wear overnight when you're sleeping. And then you take that information back, they analyze it, and they decide what type of sleep apnea you have, and then what the treatments are. Do you need a machine? Do you need a CPAP, BiPAP? What type of machine you need? And then we get treatment for it. All right. So that's how it works. Now the assessment of the sleep apnea probably costs about $1,500 to $2,000. I don't know. It's a little different in each country, but there's this.
That's about right.
It's about that. It's about that. But so there's that there. So now the question then that comes up is, as a physician, when I looked at my day sheet and looked at all the people coming in to see me, when I went down and I saw the couples coming in, I could tell you the reason the couples were coming in. It was a sleep apnea talk, right? So now, when you sit down with a couple, and usually it's the husband that's there for the sleep apnea. Mm-hmm. As doctors, we're trained on all these questions to ask, like to try and diagnose sleep apnea. Are you tired in the morning? Do you sleep well? Do you snore? All that sort of things, right? all that sort of thing. So as he got older, I cut to the chase, because I wanted to just, I don't want to get yak on and on and on. So the one question that's perfect for the diagnosis. Do you know what the question is? Do you know what the question I asked? And it's 100% right. The question I always ask, I didn't ask the husband. I asked the wife. I asked Sherry. I said, Sherry, does Michael have sleep apnea? She says, he's had it for 10 years. I've been trying to drag him in here. He snores. I have to wear earplugs. He stops breathing. I have to kick him to get going. So do we really need the Galaxy 4 watch to be recording your snoring and all this stuff it's doing to take into a doctor to help him make the diagnosis of sleep apnea? So, do you see where I'm going with this, Michael? Is it? I think it's amusing. I think that, but I'm not sure that there's a lot of practical value. And what I really want people to do, I want all the listeners to do that. If you are considering going to see your doctor and you do record your snoring all night, I want to know what he says when you take it in and you turn it on and you start playing it for him. I want to know what your doctor says. I think it should be quite comical. So is this snoring thing a big deal or not? It promotes interest. It's, and all that sort of thing. Do I think it's life-shattering? I do not. So that's, and I'm sort of, well, so what? So those are the 5 things that the medical things I want to talk to today.
Nothing's going to cure. Nothing's going to solve. Nothing's going to, it's not meant. I think what I like is awareness.
Right.
And plus it gets people interested in their own health, which I think they need to be. Right. I really feel like they need to be involved in a lot of times I'm just going to go to the doctor.
Right.
Well, you may not have even had you been able to just check something just to see. But at the same time, if you're not feeling good, you should go to the doctor. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not a doctor. Right. I'm just talking out loud. You're a doctor. You have a different perspective.
Well, that's what this talk was made to be. It's my perspective as a physician looking over onto the side of this. So in summary, I think that these five apps, I think out of the most important one, of course, is the atrial fibrillation. I think this is really one of the reasons why I think this watch is the most technologically advanced watch we have now. But will it ultimately do all the things we want it to do. It depends on getting approval in the United States. It depends on, it depends on a lot of things. But the Achilles heel in this, and I don't know if they can solve it, is the ability is the fact that the important features will only work on if it's paired to a Samsung, a Samsung phone. And I don't know yet. We don't know which phones will work. Like, do you have to have the S20 and S21, which are the $1,000 phones, or how far back in Samsung phones are you going to have to go? And this all comes down, and I'll give you the final little, you always give us an extra tip. This is an extra tip. I think, and one of the reviewers that read it and said, really, because this phone, what Samsung has done is it's thrown in with Google now, and they use Android Wear. All right. Now, and so the software used to run on Tizen. Samsung had their own operating system called Tizen, and Tizen was what they used. Now, no, Android Wear has been around for a long time. Fossil had it. Fossil almost went broke, and they're not going anywhere with Android Wear. Never went anywhere, did anything. But for some reason, Google and Samsung are going to make something out of this. And Samsung made the decision in June to go with Android Wear and not do Tizen. All right. But I don't think that's entirely true. I think what they did is I think they've put the Android Wear on top of Tizen. And why I say that is because Android Wear, I have the Galaxy earbuds, right? And I have the Android Wear on my phone, and I've had it for a while now. The problem is when I went to install my Galaxy 4 watch onto my phone, it needed a plug-in app. It went to the store, and it did it, and it got this extra app, and it was a plug-in app that had to go on my Pixel phone
to make it work. I guess
I think it's an emulator. I think there's something here. I think that the reason is that it's probably an emulator on top of Tizen, right? And that's probably why it's only working on a Galaxy phone, because they all have the Tizen on there, right? So I think that's probably the reason for this. Because remember, they would have had to develop this watch 6, 8, 10 months ago and get it into production schedule. And to make the change in June and make the big announcement, I think it was late in the production of it. And I think they squeaked the Android, the Wear on top, the Google Wear on top of it, and that's why it's doing this. So I think there's something going on here, but we'll find out, because remember, I just got the watch on Friday. It was just released in the United States last Friday, so they're selling tens of thousands of them, right now as we speak. And I can assure you that
this is definitely on topic right
now. They're going to be flooded with complaints. Inundated, because people are going to buy this, and it isn't going to work. So anyway, that's the only concern. I just want people to understand.
I love having you around. This is awesome. And we're tinkering with tech.net. Anybody that doesn't know that, if you want to learn more about us, we're tinkering with tech. And Ron's a member. Ron's one of our. Yeah. So that's why I wanted to have him on. But also, if you look up above me, there's a QR code. And if you're on your phone watching right now, you can't hit the QR code, but come back and rewatch it and put your phone up to that. That is his Tech for Seniors. You're part of Tech for Seniors. You want to touch on that real quick, just to tell people what that is? And I noticed some people in the audience, they're from your group. So yeah, just touch on that a little bit, because I think it's awesome.
So Huey Poplick and I do a show on Monday. It's called Tech for Senior. It's free. It's an hour-long show, and then we have a 20-minute Q&A after it. We've been doing it for a year and a half now. We have over 85 episodes that we've taped, and we do it as it's free. It's a Zoom meeting, and you could go to www.tech4senior.com, and it will and the details there. It's a Zoom meeting. You come into the Zoom meeting, and we usually have about 100 people each Monday, and it's also broadcast across. We broadcast it on YouTube. It goes across. Actually, we have people in Germany, Australia, and Britain. Of course, Canada, United States, all watching as well. So it is. So we have a very wide. It's growing quite a bit. We have 5 people working on the show now, so it's growing quite a bit. So it's a lot of fun, and we do have a lot of fun. So I would, and we do another show on Thursday called Tech for Senior Live, where we just talk tech.
That's awesome. That's all. You have a Facebook. I know, and you have a Facebook page.
Yeah,
too.
Facebook. Yeah, and we post
everything that you talk about. I love that. But it's great for senior citizens or seniors out there that are looking, because they're not as tech savvy. We're just not, because we weren't born into it. Like our kids and grandkids are now born into that. So for me, it's very informative and it helps people out. You do it for free. And it's a lot of work. I know it's a lot of work because I have a production and I have a show and I do a thing where our community is paid for it. Yours is not. It's free. So I encourage people to go out and check it out and watch it. It's really nice. If you do, that's pretty much you're good with everything, right? You got everything. Okay. I just want to make sure, because we have a community. You can join the community for Tinkering with Tech. We do daily tips, we do monthly workshops, and we do expert help. And one thing that's really cool is after the show, we have a link where any member can come in and talk to our guests, like Ron. So Ron will be there to talk and answer any question. I know a lot of our members were leaving comments out there too. I saw a bunch of the comments. I try to put them on screen as much as possible, but I also wanted to make sure we got covered on all the stuff, because this is all good information that I think people need to know. But I love how you, and again, I'm just going to read it and kind of bring it all back together. It's just making people aware. I think people will be aware of their health. Doesn't solve anything, doesn't fix anything, doesn't, hey, I need to go. It doesn't say I have to go to the hospital. I'm saying? I don't look at my watch and say, you need to go to the hospital, but it might. I mean, you might put it in your head and say, hey, look, I need to do, it makes you more of aware of things. And I really do appreciate it. I hope you come on again, because that's very informative. I like to get the perspective of a doctor too. You know what I'm saying? I think that's really important. Thanks, Ron. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Hey, thanks everybody that's out there. Be sure to go check out Tech for Senior. It's techforseniors.com. Is that correct?
Tech for Senior, no S.
No S. Tech for
and
Senior.
You have to put the www in www.techforsenior.com.
Yep. Be sure to go check that out. If you want to come to tinkeringwithtech.net, you can do that to join the community. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining in the audience. It was awesome. We'll see you in the backstage pass. And Ron, thank you. And we'll see you over there in just a minute as well. Thank you, everybody. Bye, all.